Okay.
Right.
I'm very fortunate today to be sitting down with two gentlemen that have a vast knowledge of the black opal business in Lightning Ridge. Bob Barrett, whose grandfather was involved in the opal business. Bob has been a miner, and Bob's son Shannon, we've been on many of his claims just this today, looking at mining underground and different processes. We have Al Hobden, whose father was a opal miner, and he's an opal miner. So we have generational opal miners here, and I want to thank both you gentlemen for agreeing to talk to us and help us in America understand a little history from Lightning Ridge. And the first question, I'll just throw it out, and whoever wants to address it is, when was opal discovered in Lightning Ridge, and how did it happen?
Yeah, well, I'll take that one out. Opal was first discovered in Lightning Ridge by Jack Murray, we believe, in about 1903. He was a boundary rider, lived in a little tank there just out of Lightning Ridge. He found these coloured stones. There was a fair bit of, a lot of people walking around the place there looking for gold. And you look at some of the old maps and they've got a little thing marked at Angledale that there was gold discovered at Angledale. That's probably a result of the fact that there were 400 or 500 Chinese there, sort of the district was built out of there. But anyway, they, as stories got around, the story got to White Cliffs where opal had been discovered in 1895 about this other coloured stone. So Nettleton headed over here and thought he'd have a look at it on foot, distance of about 450 miles, walked across, found the place, found the bloke with the opal, and convinced him to do a bit of digging, and they put a parcel together which they took back to White Cliffs. It got its way down to Adelaide, where it was, I could go with those names, Wollaston anyway, bought the parcel and took it to England. Found that there was a demand for it, got the word back to White Cliffs. White Cliffs was starting to close down a bit, so they started to migrate to Lightning Ridge.
Right.
Lightning Ridge, White Cliffs is west, Lightning Ridge is to the east of here, still 70 k's, and they found the opal at the ridge in 1903, and by 1908 White Cliffs was virtually closed, and the blokes walking across here, one bloke found opal here at the Grawen actually, which is a few miles just to the east of here. The Grawen field then started off. It is seam opal. Lightning Ridge is a different field altogether. It's knobby opal, which takes a bit of explaining in itself. My grandfather was in one of the early buying syndicates, grandfather Jack Barrett. They didn't ever do any opal mining themselves. The other bloke, my other grandfather Bill Prentice, had some interest. There were opal mines on his field and they got a little bit of opal out of different things. A beautiful stone that I saw with my aunt was about an 8 carat green orange stone, good quality stone. And my old uncle, who hadn't been back here for over 50 years, said, "Bob, how can they make any money out of opal?" I said, "Well, Paddy, they sell the bloody stuff, don't they?" And he said, "But Bob," he said, "see that stone?" He said, "What's it worth?" And it had been worn for 60 years, like, and it had definitely not looked after. It had definitely needed a polish. And it looked like a piece of grey until you gave it the genuine lick and had a look at it, and I thought, bloody nice stone. It'd be a good stone. Like, anyone would be very, very proud to wear it once it was polished. And he said, "Bob, I just forget whether I gave 1 or 2 bottles of beer for that stone." How can they make any money out of it? But we hope that it's worth a lot more now.
Times have changed.
Times have changed a bit. Al's father, I was here and not long after his old man. His old man found opal here in what they call Millionaire's Gully.
Well, Al, your father was a miner, you've been a miner.
Yeah.
How has mining changed over the years, from say the days of your father to you today? How has the process really changed?
Well, when I first arrived here New Year's Day 1970, and it was stinking hot, as you can imagine. My dad had been here about probably 5 or 6 months prior to that, and they discovered an old digging in what is now known as Millionaire's Gully. And that digging, the opal had actually come out to the surface, so that's how they knew there was colour around. So him and a couple of his partners decided to sink a hole, and they went down and bottomed on payable opal. Some South Australians arrived around about the same time, a few weeks later or somewhere around there, and they pegged a few claims, and we only pegged a few claims. We were actually farmers from central west New South Wales, and we were new to the game. My dad had done a bit of prospecting, including gold prospecting, many years prior, so he knew a bit about what he was on. But we basically got the opal that we got out, we were virtually giving it away because we didn't know the price of it. And we started off using pick and shovel, candle, and when we got down under the ground we used a carbide lantern. You fill the carbide lantern up with the carbide, sort of like little graphite type stuff, put it in there, then you added water to it, and the gas that gave off created gas, so you lit the damn thing and you wore it on your head mostly, but you did have lanterns that you set on the floor. And it threw a rather brighter light. The candles burnt yellow and it threw a whiter light so you could see more with it. So we used those for years, but they were notorious for exploding. Many a time your hair would catch on fire.
Plenty of miners' huts were fell victim to the dreaded carbide lamp. So you'd come and bump them, and more water would spill onto the carbide than was expected, and there'd be more gas come out. And there's only one way for it to go. That was
so we used those. We used to sharpen all our own picks using an anvil and a forge. Sharpen all our own picks of a night time after we'd done a day's work with them, and
windlass.
Yeah, we used the windlass. Yeah, we didn't have any hoists. We bought a hoist after about maybe a year of operation, so about by mid-1971 we were starting to use hoists. A hoist is something that you place over the top of your hole. You've got a bucket going down it comes back up, tips into your truck or onto the ground, however you want it, trips the rope, and then it comes back down the hole for you to refill again while you're down the bottom.
Well, you've seen everything. We ran into you about an hour or two ago, and you had a drilling rig out, and you were out prospecting in a very modern way for opal now by drilling core samples.
Yes. Yeah, it's not actually a core sample, but similar. It's 70. Most standard rigs go to about 75 foot. Some go to 90, some a little deeper. But most of your opal comes within that first 75 feet. So if you're going to find it, you use an auger, and it's a bit hit and miss. It's a lot hit and miss, but you generally, after you've done an area, you get a feeling of where it could possibly be, and they're the places you look for it. 9 times out of 10 you don't find anything, and over the years I've drilled thousands of holes. I figure about 2 to 3%, so every 100 holes you drill, you'll get a little bit of trace out of 2 or 3 holes.
So both y'all would agree opal is very elusive, and that's why it's so rare.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's only concentrated in a relatively small area. It's not.
And there's not a lot of us either at it. Like you go, continue on with that story. Like when they walked over here from White Cliffs and that. By the end of the 20s, there were 4,000 miners down on the flat at Lightning Ridge. I'll take you and show you that tomorrow. It's an area not much bigger than that Millionaire's Gully down there. 4,000 miners there. Then the Depression came. What were they going to do? Who's going to walk to bloody Sydney to sell at Opalstone? No one had any money in Sydney anyway. You couldn't buy a loaf of bread, let alone an Opalstone. So one of the things they got out was this, one of the things to keep men sort of working and their morale up a little bit, I suppose, it was a scheme worked out by one of the Labor governments, I believe. It was a sinkage deal that if they worked in sandstone, if they went out and they dug, they got $1 a foot while they were digging. But if they dug into the clay band and started working in the clay band, well, they were paid nothing. And the troopers, there were 2 troopers, and they were based in Angledale, and they used to ride around once a fortnight, and they'd measure the depth of the holes that they'd dug and pay out their $1 a foot. When they came back a fortnight later, they'd have a grocery list or whatever where they could buy salt, tea, sugar, jam, whatever it was,
whatever they needed,
flour, and they'd bring that out with them. So they'd pay them the little bit of money that they had left over that went to the wives or whatever, and give them their groceries, and then ride on. And this whole chain of ridges, which I've said there before, is about 40, 50 mile long. They rode the whole chain of ridges, and that kept it going. And then Well, after the 30s, the Bagtown around Lightning Ridge dissipated in about that time because they just couldn't sustain it. And the next boom, there was Opal, probably the next boom in Opal came after the completion, because some of the Europeans, Eastern Europeans and whatever that had worked out here on the Snowy scheme and a few of those sort of things, when that scheme finished, they had nowhere to go and nothing to do, really. So a lot of them headed to Coober Pedy, and a lot of them came here. And they came here with a really good work ethic. And they did a lot of work. And because the end of that thing, I think it was probably 56, 58 or something, it took them a while to get used to doing, and they were still working by hand. They brought a lot of innovative stuff with them or invented it while they were here. The diggers and the blowers were all invented by these particular blokes. And the
So they
next
revolutionised the Opal.
Oh, revolutionised it. You could get down there and you could tear out a bloody couple of trucks a day, no trouble at all, you know.
And then in the 70s, things changed a lot, Al. There was a boom.
Yeah, there was. Basically, on the finding of Millionaire's Gully, I can remember I was asleep one night, and it must have been about 3 o'clock in the morning, and Dad and his partners had been to town to sell some opal, which is Lightning Ridge is about 80 k's away. It was a rough dirt track in those days, so it took them about 3 hours to get in, and then they sold their opal, and nobody knew them. The buyers didn't know them, so the word got around Lightning Ridge pretty quickly about there's a new find out the other side of the Grail, out Grailwen Way.
Right.
So Dad and his partners obviously went to the pub, had a few beers, loaded up with groceries and beer, and came back out, drove back out. One guy in particular who's a very smart individual still is hopped in his aeroplane with a friend and decided to follow them out. So they went above them and circled and waited till they pulled up out here. Mapped it all out. Didn't have GPSs back in those days, and about 4 o'clock that morning, the next morning, there's a hell of a commotion. I think, bloody hell, what's this? And there must have been 30 people from Lightning Ridge out there pegging. One bloke knocked on my door and I woke up and he said, "Where can I peg?" He was a Yugoslav. "Where can I peg?"
And peg means stake a claim.
Stake a claim.
Stake a claim.
Yeah.
Run up your lines and stake
I
a
said,
claim.
"Mate, anywhere you like, for Christ's sake, piss off, leave me alone. I need to go to sleep."
I've work to do tomorrow.
So by the time we got up the next morning, the whole place was virtually pegged in. And us being stupid farmers, we didn't peg anymore ourselves, even though there's plenty of it. We thought, oh, well, we didn't realise. So we missed out on getting more claims. We probably should have, in hindsight, pegged a lot more than we pegged. So we missed out. But a lot of people came in, and it really started there was a good supply of opal on the market. Lightning Ridge had pretty well died at that time. And that gave it a really big boost, and opal became popular again, and it kicked on from there pretty well. Yeah.
But what each of y'all see as the future for mining here? You have a lot of experience. You've seen booms and busts.
Yep.
What do y'all see in the future? Do you want to start first, Bob? For the mining industry here, it's a phenomenal gemstone. And what do you see the future in mining?
The more you see it, the more you say it's a phenomenal gemstone, the more opal you see, the better opal you see, the more phenomenal it is. It just, all it does is grow and grow and grow on you. And there's, we come back to the 50 odd miles of this Narran Warrnambool Reserve. There's a lot of country to the south of here that's virtually unexplored. It's had rough wildcatting done on it, you know. But there's plenty of drilling can be done. I think I totally believe, don't think at all, I totally believe that there's just as much opal left underground as has come out in the last 100 years.
Al?
Yeah, I'll echo that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there will be plenty of opal left to be found. It's the easiest of it's been found. There's no doubt about that. The hardest stuff's going to come when they have to get out further and further, but I think the price really needs to be a little higher than what it is to encourage.
That's got to be the driving
to encourage
force.
people to get out and do it. A lot of the young people don't want to do it. I mean, it's it's the best lifestyle in the world. I don't care what they say or where they go. You cannot beat this place. It's stinking hot in the middle of the summer and it's a bit cold in the middle of winter, but the lifestyle is great. Nice people, good people.
There's no brighter face than the face of an oval stone sitting in the wall.
And,
either.
and when you first see it, you go,
Wow.
it's
That's
just
what
one
it
of
is.
those things. It's a,
Yeah, it just grabs
it's
you.
a beautiful gem. There's no doubt about that. And I'd encourage everybody to at least come and have a look. And if you're interested in it, try it. I mean,
Well, Black Opal, of course, is my favorite gemstone. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's exquisite,
Yeah.
and we do everything we can to expose it to as many people in the United States
Yeah.
as possible.
That's
And I'd like to thank both of y'all for sitting down with me and talking about our favorite
It's probably-
gemstone. And it's safe to say that, in both of your opinion, that the best is yet to come for Lightning Ridge and Black Opal.
we hope so. We hope so.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank y'all very much.
Yeah, thank you.
You get it out there, man.
Cheers. I will keep working at it.